Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody, or Xcode. How's it going today? Hopefully everybody watching this video is having yourself a snazzy day. Let me know in the comments down below where you're watching the video from, inside or outside of the United States. The story starts out, I think I was a sophomore in high school, so I was probably 15, 16 years old. This was a real pivotal part in my life because this is when I was expanding. This is when I was trying to find different weed plugs than the same old plug that controlled basically my whole town. Like the whole high school used to buy from this one guy, and it would always be the same weed. No matter who you smoke with, it'd be the same shit. I remember for like 3 or 4 months, only thing you could buy in my entire town, in the surrounding towns, was green crack. It got to a point where I asked one of my friends, hey man, you want to smoke? And he's like, yeah, sure, wait a minute, wait. You don't have the green crack, right? And I'm like, yeah, what's the deal? And he's like, nah, I don't want to smoke it, man. I'm tired of it. What? So I was trying to expand my horizons. I was on the look for some different strains of that sacred skunk. So I made friends with this dude who would give me a ride like a couple towns over, and the weed was fucking phenomenal. I don't know if it was just from smoking the same old bud over and over again for months on end, and then finally getting a bag of something else, or what it was. But every time you'd open that bag, it was like, whoa, put that away, man. It's reeking up the car. Get everybody shocked in the car. So at first it was pretty dope. I'd go there and get like a 1/4 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, sometimes even an ounce. At the time, that was a lot of weed for me, and like getting that much of that quality, it was so awesome. Like I'd come back home so happy, go over to the homie's house, roll up 1-gram joints for everybody. But I have to say, there was 2 different people in this town. There's 2 different people that we'd meet. It would always be random. I'd hit up my friend for the ride, and I'd be like, hey man, I have this amount of money and I want to buy some bud. And he's like, all right, I'll hit up my friend. It was always one of these 2 people. One of them, we just pulled up to his house. He came up to the car, handed me the bag, I handed him the money, and it was easy. And then that was it. And then the other one, we had to park up. We had to get out of the car. We had to go into his garage. There was like 6 or 7 people chilling in there at all times that I had no idea who they were. And you gotta put yourself in my shoes, all right? I was like 15, 16 years old going in there, $200 cash in my hand. There's like 6 or 7 full grown adults. I'll always remember the first time I ever walked into that garage. It was the first time I'd ever seen a backwoods before. At the time, I don't think anybody I knew smoked backwoods. I don't think it was a trend, or I don't really think I knew anybody that ever smoked a backwoods at that point. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I looked at it, I didn't even know it was a backwoods. I didn't know until later on, because this blunt was the most wet blunt I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, it looked like the guy unraveled the blunt and just like rubbed a snail across the backwoods leaf, wrapped it up, and then just put the entire thing in his mouth. Like, this blunt was going around and it was passed to me, and I picked it up with my hands and the thing drooped over. I remember hitting it and it tasted like they were smoking mids. Like, I didn't understand it. The bud that they were selling me tasted 10 or 20 times the quality of what was in this blunt. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely. I mean, listen, to be fair, backwoods, you gotta slobber them a little bit. Just a little bit. Sometimes, especially if, you got some vein action, or if they're dry, they're cracking all over the place. I get it. But this was on another level. Looked like Gary from SpongeBob ran it over. So that time, when I was in the garage, everything was fine. The first 2 or 3 times I went there, it was chill. I never really said much to them because I didn't know them at all. And like, when I'm buying Kush, that sacred skunk, I'm trying to be in and out. In and out. There's definitely times where I'm trying to chill, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm buying weed, I want to be in and out. I don't want to chill for 3 hours and end up smoking half the bag with you. Listen. So I'd always have that vibe, like, all right, yeah, I just want to go, like, let me get the weed. So the first 2 or 3 times, I didn't really say much. Kind of just watched the friend that drove me there, had a conversation with them for like 20 minutes. I got my weed and left. But then on like the 3rd or 4th time, I remember the first time it ever really went down is he met me in his yard. Like, I didn't even make it to the garage. Like, he walked up super fast, like he was in a rush. Like, he had somewhere to be, and I was like inconveniencing him or something. Like, hey man, come on, like you're late or something. I'm like, what the fuck you mean? I'm early. I was never late to this thing. I was never late. If anything, I'd always be 5 minutes early. I walk up to him and he like really sketchily looks around. He's like, all right, here you go, man. I gave you a little extra. And I'm like, okay. I remember I gave him like think $120 for a half ounce. Listen. Okay, I was 15. Okay, calm down. All right, listen. Which is what I'd normally give him. It was just like a normal time. I'd go there every couple days, get back into the car. It's a little light. Okay, a little light. I'm obviously not carrying a scale around with me, but I could just tell by looking at it. I get home, 5 grams light. Okay, listen, that's not a mess up. That's not a fuck up that you make. Sometimes you get home and you're like, huh, that looks a little light. You throw it on the scale, it's 0.5 under, 0.4 under, maybe 0.2. You hit up the plug. Hey, bro, what's going on with this? Oh shit, sorry, the scale's off. You know, you get one of those excuses. 5 grams though? No. I hit up my friend that gave me the ride that's friends with him. I didn't even have this guy's direct phone number. I didn't even want it, to be honest with you. I'm like, hey dude, listen, the bag is 5 grams short. And he's just like, what the fuck? So I ended up getting a response that was similar to the, oh shit dude, my scales must have been fucked up. It was one of those excuses. It was like, oh shit, complete misunderstanding. I got you next time. And to my surprise, he did get me next time. It was like a bait and switch though. It was like, I went to go get another half ounce and he gave me like 7 grams of the weed I'd usually get and then 7 grams of some like, you know, like some of the stuff he was smoking out of the blunt. Some of the stuff he was smoking blunts with. Like some of that stuff. I think the next couple times that I went to this town to go pick up weed, it was the other dude. So I kind of forgot about this experience altogether. I figured that because I had an issue with this guy, every time I'd hit this guy up for a ride, that I'd go to the other plug, the one that I liked more. Looking back on it, this bud tasted like fruit. Like it had that like fruit smell to it. It's been a long time since I had weed that smelled and tasted like that. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had bud that tasted like fruit or like berries. It's just incredible. So the day of reckoning, the day that it happened, hit up my friend for a ride. Yo, looking for a half ounce. And he's like, yo, I got you. Let's go. We're on our way to the plug's house. This guy's driving like a maniac. He was a really good driver, but he was like a stunt driver. This guy would be going 120 miles an hour down the road, whipping through turns, making me grip the seat like I'm on a roller coaster. So it wasn't the good plug this time. So we pull up to this dude's house. We go into the garage. I remember as we showed up, the plug came out with like 4 or 5 other people. I'm kind of just like standing there, spacing out like usual. My friend's just having a conversation with him. And I see the plug like look behind him. There's something behind us. I turn around to see what he's looking at, and there's just some dude riding a bike past his house. The plug looks at me, kind of looking at him, and he's like, hey, see that guy over there? He owes me $30. Watch this. Goes out to the garage, and he walks up to him. The guy, like, starts going on the bike a little bit faster. He's like, hey, you owe me $30, man. Get the fuck back here. And he, like, rides off on his bike. The plug comes back in, and he's just like, man, I'm gonna beat the shit out of that guy. Like, super serious, all, like, super gangster mode. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Everybody in the room is just talking about, like, how they're gonna beat the shit out of him. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, damn. A couple minutes later, the plug looks at me. He's like, oh, yeah, you gotta get some weed, right? And I'm like, yeah, I just want to get like a half ounce. He kind of gives me that like can't look you in the face look as he says this to me. He's just like, yeah, just give me the money, man. I just got to go to my friend's house and get it real quick. I look at my friend that I came there with and I'm like, listen, man, I told you already, like, I don't want to front any money. And he just kind of relays the information back to him like he can't hear me, like he's not in front of me. Like, hey, dude, he said he didn't want to front money. Like I had already explained to my friend that I never want to front money in any scenario. He kind of got that. Like he looked at me and he kind of got that. And he's like, hey, he doesn't want to front money, man. Like he doesn't do that. The plug looks at me, gives me the ocular pat down, realizes that I'll probably give him the money. So he follows through with the, nah, dude, come on, just give me the money. I'll go right down the street. I'll get your bud, come right back. I think to myself, analyze. I'm getting a half ounce today. In the past like 3 times I've gotten ounces and it's been good. Besides that one time where it was short 5 grams. The risk to reward ratio seemed accurate. I'll always remember taking that $140 out of my pocket. I looked at it. As I was handing it to him, I looked at it and I'm like, that's the last time I'm seeing that. I gave it to him and I'm like, all right, man, I'll wait right here. He says, bet, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Gets into the car, pulls out of the driveway. As his car's pulling out of the driveway, everybody in the garage that was chilling with him goes right back into the house. So we're waiting. A couple minutes goes by. No big deal, right? 10 minutes goes by. I'm just sitting there talking with my friend. 20 minutes goes by. I'm like, all right, bro, where's your friend at? He gives him a call. No answer. 30 minutes goes by. At this point, I kind of know what's going down, but like I haven't fully accepted it yet. I'm thinking maybe he's stuck in traffic. Maybe he's on his way back. I got ridiculous scenarios going on in my head. Man, I hope he didn't get pulled over and arrested or something. So I asked my friend, I'm like, yo, call him one more time. Where is he? He's trying to call him a couple times, obviously not answering the phone. And like at this point, 30 minutes or so went by and a couple other people came out of his house or was just like standing in the garage like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what are you waiting for? And I'm like, I'm waiting for the weed that I paid for. And he's just like, oh, okay. And he's just like blankly standing there, just kind of like smoking, just like staring at us. Wasn't being weird, wasn't being mean, just like sitting there, just making it awkward. So about 35, 40 minutes, I looked at my friend and I'm like, damn, bro, he's gone. Like, that dude's not coming back, is he? He gave me the, I don't know, man. He's not answering the phone. I don't know what to tell you. And at this point, it was getting dark outside. This was a town that I had no experience in. Someone's house that I didn't even know with like 7 people that I didn't know. All at least 10 years older than me. It was just an overall beat situation. I remember getting back into the car and being like, hey man, so what's up? Like, you gonna help me out with this? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna try to see what I can do. I'm gonna make some calls, try to get your money back, man. By the way he was kind of talking to me in the car, I almost felt like he was in on it. I remember doing some deep thinking, okay, analyzation, to try to figure out what happened, like where I went wrong, like what made him want to take my money that time of all times, because it didn't make any sense to me. I had previously purchased, I was paying like near $300 for an ounce of this bud. But yet the time that I go there with $120, $140, that's the time he decides to ghost me. I was putting 2 and 2 together in my head. And the person who was giving me rides, you know, a couple times a week, I think I wasn't smoking him up enough or something. Maybe that was it. Because he'd always just want to smoke, like heavy. He was a big smoker. He had a high tolerance. But man, when I was 15 or 16, I'd smoke 1 bowl and get too high. So we'd be on our way to go to the plug's house. And I'd smoke 1 bowl and I'd be getting blasted. I'd get fried as fuck. And then I'd be even more nervous to go and buy weed. And I'm sure you're thinking, so why don't you just smoke after you buy it? You're on the way home. This guy would be driving 110 miles an hour. This shit was scary as fuck when I was high. I think one of 2 things happened. I think the person who was giving me rides was like, fuck this kid. He's not giving me enough gas money. He's not giving me enough weed. Which I actually doubt was the case because he really was a nice guy. Like, he was a nice dude. Or the plug just really needed $140 that day. Never went back to the plug. Never hit that dude up, actually, that gave me the ride. It was kind of like the end of that, which was disappointing, all right? Disappointing. So this is like a life story, but it also could be a stoner tips. The moral of the story, the information, the education, the knowledge, is to never front your money no matter what. There's actually no scenario where you're ever in your entire life want to give someone money for them to go somewhere and get you weed. It's just, you're gonna get robbed. They're gonna take it. It's just a simple fact. There's actually never been a scenario that I could think of where I was like, hey man, here's the money, go and get me weed, and then it worked out for me. I know there's gonna be some people in the comments, so it was like, dude, why don't you try to like stay there and why don't you try to do something? It's not really worth it for $140 in my opinion. I know that's a lot of money. That's a decent amount of money for sure. It's not like, oh, I lost $20. You gotta pick your battles in life, man. Trust me, I definitely assessed the situation. And I think the outcome was the greatest it could have gone. I don't think I could have gotten anything more than what happened. I have another story of another time I got robbed. Unfortunately, it was substantially more, which also happens to be one of the craziest nights of my life. So leave a like on the video if you guys want to see that. Huge thank you to everybody who's been supporting me on Patreon. For $1 or $2 a month, you can support the channel and get access to the secret unlisted videos that I've been making over on Patreon. I'll put a list of all the names on screen right now. Huge thank you for the support. Link in the description for more information. Thank you for spending the time out of your day to watch my video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Stay high, stay lifted, and follow my cat on Instagram. Peace.